Want to do the prayer?
Sure. Would please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the things that we have here before us, the ones that we have in our lives, the both material, the people, the breath that we take every day, Lord. Let us be thankful for that and give grateful thanks to you every morning and today. Lord, help us to use this opportunity to renew our strength, renew our faith in you, and to live a better life amongst each other. In your son's name we pray, amen.
Amen. So let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the Texas flag.
On the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Any comments from the public? No. Consider an act on adjustments to or relief from civic charges imposed by the district. You have anything? Okay. Okay, we got the consent agenda. Anybody have anything they want to pull out of the consent agenda?
I motion to pull out item 9, the adoption of a resolution, because I'd like to.
Okay. So you pull out 9, anything else? Okay, can I have a motion to pass? What's that?
I'd like to move item 13 and move it into item 23.
Into 23. Oh, in the general manager report. Okay, so you want to do it at 23. 13 down to, so Eric's you guys gonna talk about it in the general manager report, okay? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda except for line 9? Get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so let's now do 9. So I adopt a resolution authorizing additional penalty on delinquent personal property taxes and authorize delinquent tax attorney to collect delinquent personal property taxes beginning 1 April 2026, including the filing of lawsuits as necessary. So
this is a resolution that the board considers each year. You actually consider 2 resolutions related to delinquent property taxes, one for delinquent personal property, and one for delinquent real property. The resolution allows for the district to be able to impose an additional penalty that is equal to the amount that is paid to your delinquent tax collections attorney. And that amount is set by statute. So the action by the board is twofold. One, to approve the imposition of the penalty. And so for personal property, you can pass that on to a delinquent taxpayer beginning on April 1st. For real property, the statute only allows you to pass it on beginning on July 1st, thought being that personal property can walk off. Can't. And so that's the first part, to approve the resolution. Second part is to authorize the delinquent tax collection attorney to begin collections on but not before the date that you can pass on the penalty. Because if you don't, then it's the same as if you didn't adopt the resolution, which means that whatever collection the district, obtains, you take a 20% haircut, which is the amount that you pay for tax collections. So we tell them, begin collections, but don't begin collections before that date. We don't want you to go be successful in mid-February and get collections, and then the district, takes a haircut. So they begin the collection on that.
Okay. I was interested in hearing, I think it was the tax code section 6.30, which has language that says that it's approved up to 20%. And as far as has there been any discussion or context that the board has insight into as far as why are we maxing it to 20? Why not 15%? Why not some other magic number? That's
Yeah, so that's the amount that you have in your contract with your delinquent tax collection attorney to do Brandon, which is frankly pretty standard. Most of the tax collections attorneys, they charge that maximum amount that's allowed. So frankly, I don't have any districts that say, oh, we're gonna cut a delinquent taxpayer slack and eat, portion of the collection penalty. It's usually, hey, if you don't pay it, and, we have Jeannie here who actually goes above and beyond most tax collectors and reaches out to folks, calls them and what have you. You try to work out the delinquent payment before that deadline. So if there's that point, most boards wouldn't be of a mind to say, we're going to cut you delinquent taxpayer slack and have the rest of our, taxpayers who pay on time basically subsidize a portion of that cost.
That helps. Just a follow-up question. Would it be the case, like, just for argument's sake, if it was lowered to 15% instead of 20, that amount is basically 85% could be applied towards the district's balance of unpaid amounts when we collect. Basically the district would collect 85%, the attorney would collect 15%.
Well, so the district collects the taxes plus whatever the regular penalties and interest plus this additional penalty, assuming it's after the April 1 date. If you don't impose a penalty that's equal to what your contract is with your delinquent collections attorney, then the district won't be made whole on the cost of collection. So that's a policy decision by the board. Frankly, I've never had a district that chose to go that route, but in theory, you could. But it would be what.
So in other words, what you're doing is the 30% is what the collection agency / lawyer is charging for his services.
Yeah.
20%, but that's something that we negotiated. Presumably it was our manager who negotiated these terms with the attorney. And then is that assumption correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's Purdue Brandon's one of the main.
Yeah. They're the main
Collection
ones.
attorneys.
Yeah.
So my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the statute allows up to 20%. Our predecessors have agreed to pay the maximum in attorney's fees. But we have the flexibility to go lower, and so far so good. Okay. And that this is the part that's not clear to me, that if we were to lower the amount that we pay the attorney from 20% of the uncollected fees down to 15%, essentially the board is not, those funds, instead of going towards the attorney, would go towards paying down the responsibilities of the district.
Yeah, I don't think you would.
Got another way.
Yeah, you
We'd
can't.
be paying 5% of our own pocket to the attorney for the collection. So this is the most efficient way if we're allowed up to 20%. What Brian's saying is that we should in fact go for the 20% and make it part of the negotiation process with the person who violates the payment schedule.
And it's a pass through.
Yeah.
It's another disincentive to people
Right.
not paying the tax.
Of course.
We don't have many people in that situation, do we?
I mean, it just depends, but we start calling in February, once our delinquent notices go out, we hit the personal property fast. Because they can be here today and gone tomorrow. And,
But typically, how many do we turn over to attorney a year? Not many.
I mean,
Yeah.
just look at your percentage that we collect, by April first.
So I'll use a concrete number because the pass-through language says, let's say that the total amount is $100 that they have not yet paid the district. That $100 they owe the district. And the board gets to decide whether 80 of those or 85 of those, for example, would stay with the district versus paying attorney's fees.
No, that's right.
Well, so.
The taxes are $100 plus penalty and interest.
Interest.
And then on top of that, the 20%.
20%.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, that's right.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's say that the extra amount is the $100. Let's just say that is the absolute amount in the increment. That incremental penalty is to be allocated either to 100% towards the attorney, 20% or some other number. If we go lower than the 20%, that's the part that I'm not
So,
understanding.
but you have to also get an attorney to accept the case.
Right,
Correct.
So if he's not getting standard, he's not getting what he expects, he may just pass.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty, we don't have many people going through this. I remember 2 one year.
it
And
just seems that we're going, there's collection and by statute, we can take 20% of the owed amount and be a pass-through. And pass through all of the additional incremental penalty to the attorney, or part of that remains to lower the cost of the district.
We would be suing the delinquent person for $124, I guess it is. And in the example you gave, and of that, we still get our $100, but the attorney gets everything else. If we have any number less than that, the attorney may not take the case, in which case we'll lose the 100 for sure.
Yeah, you can't go ahead.
No,
But if you're looking at it from, I could still charge 20%, but then I'm only paying the delinquent attorney 15, it can't be used as a profit center. It's gotta be a pass through. So you can't charge more as the additional penalty than what you're actually paying for your counsel. So
I see.
it's
I
a
see.
pass through either way.
Okay, by statute, it's a
Yeah,
pass through.
yeah.
Okay,
you don't get to keep the
okay.
profit.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
It's
That's helpful.
there just to help the district be made whole and not.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's not a profit opportunity.
One more thing, Brian, before you pass this, would you, on this, on page 29, on the second, whereas, would you check that, it says section 630 of the VTCA, and I think it should say 630 of the Texas Tax Code, because,
That's that's a term of a legal term. Vernon's Texas Code Annotated is what that stands for. That's the formal name for it. But yes, on some of our documents, most of our documents actually now, we just refer to Texas Tax Code. I'm fine if you want to take that.
well, what I'm saying is it's section 0003 of the Vernon's Texas Code. It's not 630.
Look at that. But I mean, regardless, I mean, I'm fine taking, I've taken.
Check it
most of
before
that
you-
out for-
Just check before you have it signed and put it on the record.
Anything else? Get a motion to vote on the,
Propose a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing additional penalty for delinquent personal property and.
I second.
Yeah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, I'm down here. We're going general. So we got the one we moved, so we moved 13, we're on 14, so discuss an act on a sewer backup at 27 Clear Bend Place. And
Yes,
You've
it's been
got-
a few months, but I've got great news. The insurance company covered the claim. So and Kim did an amazing job to continue to work on that. We worked together, but she did most of the heavy lifting and we got them to see it our way.
thank you.
Thank you.
So it's all clear. And they've agreed and signed, it's done. So,
Okay,
And
that's
that's
good.
number 14.
yes.
That's number 14, yeah.
I have a question back to WaterSmart. This is for the district filing. This is on page 31. It has nothing to do with resident filing, correct?
Correct.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
It's a program offered through AWBD.
Yeah, no, I just wrote, is it for us or is it for the district?
It's for the-
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
for the
fine.
district.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And coincidentally, it has the word WaterSmart, which is the software interface. not the-
Yeah, it's not the same.
Two different things.
Okay, so I guess we're on 15 now. Review and consider the approval of the district's fiscal year 2024, 2025 draft audit report.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Another great year. Everything went great. We have a clean opinion, which is what we hope for each and every year. I've got reviews from two of your directors, both of them very detailed, and I very much appreciate that. I think I've addressed one director's comments.
You did.
Okay,
Thank you.
and I'm still working with Fred to kind of work through some other areas where he has concerns, but again, it was a good process, and we got good feedback, and we appreciate that very much. And so I'm really here to answer any questions, and hope we can get a approval subject to any changes.
I would like to move this to the next month's session because John and I did speak and I sent him a detailed note on some of my observations, and on my questionnaire, I did not respond either yes or no to items 11 and 12 because I requested to have a executive session or private meeting with this board and with Eric, but he was checking with Brian and have not got any feedback yet as to what we're doing. So if you were going to call for a vote to approve the audit today, I would say no, and I would give the reasons why in my report. And I have both my report here along with the comments that I made last year and the comments that I made on this year. So I don't want to take up all of the time because we have a lot of meaty things to go over. So if it's no problem, I'd like to postpone it till next month, the approval. That'll give John and I time because he's tied up tomorrow. And I'm not traveling on Friday as I thought I was.
And we can do that. It's due to the TCEQ before your next meeting, but there's no penalty for late filing. So not an issue there. So entirely up to you.
Did you have a new draft report
I have not updated the draft since,
okay.
yeah.
He's got the updates with you and my comments.
Yeah,
I've got notes for the updates and tried to.
you haven't made the final.
I haven't been able to.
I had a question, on page 7. And it's also, listed again on page 24, but, did the district they buy anything? Did they purchase anything like vehicles or equipment?
I do not think so. We could turn to page.
So is that the software change in the law? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
There's a law change that requires them to analyze the software they have on contract.
Okay.
That's the asset change.
Additions and deletions from your capital assets, and there were no additions or deletions.
There were no additions or deletions or donations or anything
Yeah.
for this year?
Yeah.
How about the last 5 years?
I
know that's a broad question
Yeah,
because,
no, I don't think so.
so my question is,
Other than, excuse
I
me,
find it strange that these numbers that you put here, they've been the same numbers for the last 5 years. And the only thing that's changed was the depreciation. So, that would indicate to me that the district didn't have any purchases of
the district,
depreciable assets such as,
yeah, the district purchases infrastructure and capacity rights and land and a couple other things. And those are all almost, not always, but a good portion of that is done through bonds. And the district hasn't sold any bonds in quite a few years.
For a while, yeah.
So, yeah, it's not unusual to see no additions or deletions from, because they don't have trucks and, they have pipe in the ground, which may get repaired, but we haven't put any new pipe in the ground.
so if the agency buys a truck, do they not
They do.
give a portion of the cost to the district?
They charge you a capital asset, they charge you a fee that they use for capital asset additions, I believe. But they retain the asset. It's not an asset of
Okay,
the
so
district.
So it
it's
comes in
maintained
on
by
water
the
bill.
agency and not the,
Not
the district.
WWA.
All right.
So in the accounting, the depreciation doesn't get accounted here. For that asset, it gets accounted for.
Indirectly, we apply the profit or loss from the WWA to your investment in the WWA each year. And so that their depreciation does affect your investment balance in the WWA, but there is no direct correlation from their depreciation.
John, this isn't necessarily for you. I think that the report is very good. On the management's portion of the audit, the management's discussion. I think that would be a good practice if management would begin to start listing goals and objectives in future reports. I know this was mentioned last year during the report, and I think most companies do include goals and objectives, a strategic planning goals, and something that you can measure so that you, at the end of, say, the first year, you can say, well, we're on track to reach our goals.
I wholeheartedly agree. Input, the MD&A is the one portion that's only 3 pages, and we have the standard format, and it's fairly typical with MUDs, but it is the one portion where we can say whatever we want to say. And it's the one portion where input from the board is not only welcome, but appreciated. So if there's any input that from the board, and that's kind of what we usually do here is we ask for approval subject to a review by directors, consultants, and so forth. We can certainly add any language. If anything becomes certainly critical, we would obviously want to come back. But if a director says, hey, I'd like to highlight the fact that we did this, and they can write the little paragraph, and I'd like to put it here, and we can certainly do that. Absolutely.
But that's not something the director will direct. Isn't that something management puts into the management section?
Well, in the case of a MUD, you are the management. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we could ask our staff.
What does happen at the trustee level
Yeah.
is that Eric has goals and objectives that are reviewed each year at the trustee level.
So I think we're missing the point that Tom is trying to make, or has made, is that when John and his team do an analysis and audit of MUD 46, any deficiencies, concerns, or observations are buried in a report as opposed to made out to be in a specific objective and goal, both by the president of the district and also the general manager of WWA.
And let me comment on that if I may. We do provide the WWA with what we call a audit communication letter, which says if we had any issues, if we had any disagreements, if we had any material findings and so forth. And then we also provide them with a letter stating if we had any material weaknesses in their internal control process, which is really directed more toward your consultant than it is to you, but we do issue it for each and every MUD because they are your consultant and they have the policies and procedures and controls that we have to review. So they do get communicate those 2 communications each and every year. I don't think we had any findings. And as I say, if a director ever comes to a point where they feel like they have a concern and they can, we are very, receptive to that information, and we can do additional procedures in our audit to track that down. But generally speaking, as we do our audit in accordance with our standards, we didn't have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we reported.
I don't want to make this too, this should be a long session, but that's not accurate from my recollection for the previous year. I did give you a complete list, and we went over it several times of what I felt were deficiencies. And to be able to include observations, deficiencies, and your opinion of it as part of an individual MUD's audit in the front of it, so we can check it off that it was in fact communicated to the general manager and the president of the board, then we would be in a better position as board members to be able to say, hey, what about this finding? What about that finding? Right now, we don't know what it is because you have a separate letter that you send to the management. Okay, and it's not included in the MUD report, in the audit report. I think it should. We should know what communications you have with the WWA concerning our district from a financial perspective, from oversight.
If you would like, and again, back to the MD&A, if you would like, we could put a paragraph that the WWA was provided a auditor communication letter and a report on any deficiencies and material weaknesses, and none were found. We can add that to it.
That is not specific, it's vague, and it's not material to MUD 46. I don't care what goes on, I care what goes on in the other MUDs, but I'm responsible, as we all are, of what happens in MUD 46. If we have a vague statement that a report was generated to the general manager, I'm not going to Eric to say, hey, did John do what he said he was gonna do? You need to include it in the audit report.
Well, I can.
So Fred, but he told you there's no audit findings.
Right.
There's no,
There's no audit findings that, in my report to him, there are material points that have to be discussed. And as I said to you up front, I said, I put to Eric to have a executive session or private meeting. He's not gotten back to me yet. So-
That's not accurate.
You've gotten back to me?
I did last week, yes.
You said there's nothing, that we can't have a meeting.
Incorrect. That's not correct. And I copied the attorney and David and.
So when's the meeting?
What do you mean? You asked if there could be one, and I responded to you that there could be one. That I had talked to the attorney and he said yes.
Fine.
So I don't know.
Let's have the meeting. And that way we
And that
can.
wasn't,
what,
by the
so
way.
Fred, what's that meeting on?
Yeah, the content of that had nothing to do with
Do
the
this.
us.
That's
That-
right.
that was
But
other
audit
topics.
items that are in my note to John specifically refer to items of a contractual nature and, in my opinion, a economic and financial impact to MUD 46. And that's what I wanted to discuss. And you came back to me and said, no, certain things that you've asked for, we can't discuss at these meetings. And I said, okay. And then I sent you what my reference was, that those items could be. You disagreed with me and you went,
But then I responded saying that we could.
fine. Then
And like
I'll,
I said, I copied the president and the attorney.
Good.
And you.
So Fred, we've had 3 special meetings for you already, not counting the one we had here. And we continue to go over the same comments each time. So, I'll be honest with you, in essence, I've had 4 meetings with you on these topics, and we kind of get nowhere. And now you want to have a closed meeting, and my concern is it's going to be, it's supposed to be about contracts and personnel issues.
given your leadership, why don't we not have a meeting and let's let this go along? Put this to a vote right now and I'll approve it. We can move forward. How's that?
Well, I'm just
I would
saying,
like to
Fred,
Ask a question before, if we were to go down that route. Because there's a key bit of information. So I'll ask the question. Is that all right?
Feel free to. I'm done.
Pages 26 and 29. I was wondering if you could confirm, agree or disagree with the following conclusion. Let's look just at page 29 first at the top, and you look at the total interest payments on the service of the debt for SJRA issued bonds. It appears to be like it's 17% of the total is interest payments. So if you have that number in mind, 17%, which is about 1/6 of the principal amount is in interest. If you compare that against the page 26, top half, the total interest payments from the district's issued debt appears to be closer to 9.5, let's round up to 10%. That the SGRA debt seems to be more expensive than district issued debt by about 70%. So it's 10 versus 17.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a comment on the interest rates. I will tell you though that on page 29, that principal and interest, the SJRA sold a number of bonds and refunded some of them, and this has happened over time. And I can't remember what the interest rates are, but I think most of it happened when the interest rates were significantly higher than they were when y'all were selling bonds. I can't confirm that, and then what they would do is whenever they would sell a bond, they would say, when we sell this bond, this percent goes to this mud and this percent goes to this mud. And so we've got this long detailed schedule that calculates what this is. And then they charge you, excuse me, they charge you, they charge you monthly to service this debt, but I can't, I'm not sure of but I do have the details of all the bonds that are still outstanding and what those interest rates are on those bonds and what percent of it goes to this month
That's
specifically.
probably something, Joseph, that the financial advisor could speak to as well, because there usually is a little bit of, nothing like that. So my guess is there's got to be something in there that's, in terms of how that's being looked at
Mhm.
to cause the discrepancy, because there is a slight premium for revenue bonds.
Versus general obligation.
Correct, because the bondholders have more security in general obligations opposed to a particular revenue stream. It's back.
Yeah, but not 70%.
Correct. So I think you may want to pull the financial advisor in to kind of go through, what those bonds are and what the outstanding amounts, because that doesn't jive with what.
But I will tell you, yeah, we have all the details of this calculation and, and we have the interest rates and we see the debt being paid and down and so forth.
Who's our financial advisor?
Adam Cohen, well,
Cohen,
and
okay.
his associates over there.
Okay, thank you.
I think they're supposed to be attending next month's meetings
Okay.
anyway, to go over the infrastructure for you.
Thank you.
We might cover that with next month.
John, just clarification on the management's discussion and analysis. Is that a document that management here puts out, or is that something you put out?
This is what you see today is a standard format that we include when we're preparing the document in pretty much every mud that we audit. But it's a very flexible document that just a little history. The whole format of your report changed in 2005. And that's when the GASB 34 came out, and that was a huge event. And that's when this MD&A was created. In most cases, like with the SGRA, they write their own MD&A, and most entities do. In the case of a MUD, when they're very consultant based, we've found, and I think any MUD auditor you'd ask, that it's because they're consultant based and you don't have anybody on the board generally who wants to write this, that we hit to use this standard format. So, but does it have to be the standard format? Absolutely not. It's certainly a free flowing document that we include, but it looks very similar in each and every MUD that we do. And if you go look at another MUD auditor, it'll look very similar to the MD&As and those.
Okay, I guess I was confused whether you wrote it or Eric wrote it or we write it, but we delegate it to Eric.
And that's a good question. You have to understand that we as independent auditors, one of the issues that we deal with is maintaining our independence and preparing the document and then basically auditing our own documents. So there's a push and pull. So though we prepare it, we put the numbers in it, and we've suggested this standard format. But it's a document that we are preparing, yes. And it's a standard format, and if we want to change it, it's up to the board to do that, yeah.
So why don't we're losing time here. So Fred, you wanted to delay it.
No, I don't anymore.
You don't?
No, I think that if you're content as president of the board to move forward with it, then we'll take a vote.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion to pass the audit report. Get a second? No second? Okay, so we don't pass it.
What would you like to do next?
Well, I guess he's gonna look at your results.
Okay. Good. Next item on the agenda.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Oh, 16.
16, yeah, grant exemptions from taxation for 2026 and the adoption of resolution in connection therein.
So this is your annual consideration for exemptions that would be applied to the tax rate that you will adopt in September, October of this year. The resolution that's in your packet has been prepared with the exemptions that the board granted for 2025. That included the general residential homestead exemption of 20% and the over 65 and disabled exemption of $30,500. The board can take action to approve the exemptions that were adopted last year, or you can discuss if you want to modify that for this year.
Any discussion?
Can you tell me more about federal old age survivors and disability insurance? Can you?
So that's the over 65 and disabled exemption. So, folks who qualify for that, in addition to the general residential homestead exemption, for the MUD, they get to tack on top of that, the over 65 and disabled. So, it's an additional reduction in the value of the home. So if a home after the homestead exemption was valued at, $500,000, then it would be, $469,500. And then the tax rate would be applied to that.
I understand that, but survivors, does that include widows, widowers?
So that's the term from the tax code. So there's exemptions for that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It seems that there's no reason to change it. Go ahead with it again.
Pretty much standard boilerplate.
With that.
I move to adopt.
I
as
second
written.
it.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we got received regular monthly SRA Woodlands Division report.
Our report's in your packet from page 39 to page 83. Rather than going page by page, item by item, if there's anything you'd like me to cover, or if you have any questions on anything, I'd be glad to hit it.
Yeah, on number 24, you talk about having an analysis of the water loss. And if you look at page 40, the target was 4%, but last year it hit 5.53. And now this year, fiscal year, we got 6.91, substantial increases. Is there any thought that you have as to why this is happening?
We're working with Woodlands Water to identify what the issues may be. Let me see if I can find the page real quick. I know water loss is shown, thank you, on page 40 for December. And the main reason you're going to see is it does average right around 4%. You'll go from 3 to 5 occasionally, but the average is 4. It's on the bottom right. But you'll see in June of 25 and September of 25, there were some
I'm
anomalies.
sorry, where are you on page 40?
Page 40.
I'm on page 40.
Bottom right, bottom right.
Bottom right, got it. Thank you.
So if you look at June of 25 and September of 25, you'll see the anomalies that stick
Mhm.
out. And then interestingly enough, after those anomalies that go way up, the next month, they go extremely low to about 1%. So in looking at that, we have been working with Woodlands Water to see if we could identify where the issue is.
Is it a capture issue for the loss that it would obviously go up so high and then drop so low? Capture of data.
Potentially.
Is that when they were testing the AC water lines and the PVC
I don't know.
pipes?
No, no, not specifically. We had a meeting last week to kind of brainstorm, we and SJA last week to see if there was anything we hadn't thought of, because we've looked through the billing information, we've looked through, the supply information. It appears the supply information is consistent with the months on either side. It's the collection side, on the September in particular, that we can't seem to find in the data. So still looking. We haven't given up, but we're digging deeper into the billing software to see if there's something. When we looked at it, there's not an anomaly that we can find that's coming out at us.
Just as an aside, if it's an error in the date snapshot, it would adjust
And some of it is that, but not all of it. So we have found that, but that only accounts for about 20% of the problem. So and that is happening because we have to turn it off and it's not turned off on the exact same day because our billing takes a few days to complete. And theirs is a snapshot now and ours takes it. So there's a little bit. So we did found some of it, but not all of it.
But I'm looking at the box right next to the one where it has a 12-month water loss. And if you look at it on a smooth basis, it's still over 4%. So I'm focusing on that where it says total water loss with the asterisks in front of it. And the numbers that I mentioned earlier come specifically from that. And it's material against the target of 4%. So if you're working on it, keep us informed. It's important.
Yes, it is. Will do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
I have a quick update.
what else you got?
On page 93 through 96 is the Bear Branch, Alden Branch and Panther Branch monthly maintenance report. And just real quickly on the Bear Branch Dam modifications at the spillway, the House Congress has approved the energy and water appropriation of $5 million. We're waiting on the Senate to do their approval. On the Bear Branch Dam engineering inspection, the 5-year inspection that was done, we should have a report to be able to give you next month. There were no major things other than what they had already identified during the engineering study. And then we're still waiting to hear from the Corps that they are going to accept and proceed with the feasibility study on the Bear Panther drainage project.
Good news.
Making some progress. It's nice to have the government back in service.
And are we done? How about 18?
18, just to recall, back in September, we heard a presentation that kind of went over the Conroe settlement. And in that, they talked about a global amendment document that would be forthcoming, and it's here. And so it's in your packet as a draft. And they've asked for comments back by the end of February. So I'm asking the directors to reach out to me with any comments they have probably prior to the next board meetings. That way I can collate all the comments and get them back by the end of February.
I have a question. So I have a copy for you, but I only bought 3. Could you give this to Brian and Ed? So Ed, back in 2024, after this Quadvest suit, I asked you for some contracts. And the 3 contracts were the one for the Woodlands Division, Houston, Quadvest, and Conroe. And the first question is, when I look at these contracts, you gave me what you said were the contracts for the legal entity called the Woodlands Division of SJRA to, with the legal division SJRA GRP. And these don't seem to be contracts. So I guess I'm asking for, the contracts that that were signed on our behalf by the legal entity, the SJRA Woodlands Division with the SJRA legal entity GRP. So I'd like to see the contracts, and the thing you sent me didn't include those, and hopefully they exist. That's the 2 things you included in your attachment. And I just gave the first 2 pages so we have a reference. I didn't.
Well, we do have executed contracts between Quadvest and SJRA.
I know, but I want the executed contract between the SJRA Woodlands Division and the SJRA GRP Division. The 2 separate legal entities, they should have a contract.
There is not a
There is
contract like what Conroe and Quadvest executed. My memorandum of understanding.
It's a memorandum of understanding between the 2 divisions.
I'm kind of surprised by that, since they're supposed to be legal entities and separated.
Which you should have a copy of that.
I have a contract for the other, which are identical. So
You should have a copy of that memorandum of understanding.
is that those right there, the cover pages?
I can't tell from the 2 pages, but.
I mean, I
it
just,
essentially has the
yeah,
same
there-
format with the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
people
okay.
At the back and then the
okay,
signature.
so, but there is no we never signed a contract between the two legal entities of the
I've never
SJRA.
seen a written
Okay.
contract between Woodlands and GR.
So then the second question I have is, in the trustee meeting, so Conroe settled with the SJRA, right? And they settled it. And in that agreement, my understanding is that the SJRA and Conroe agreed to change the GRP contract, to accomplish whatever they want to accomplish, right?
That's that draft global
That
amendment
draft,
that's
right.
being passed around.
And so in that contract, the contract between, and I had Quadvest and I had Conroe.
Mhm.
So, and what I gave you here, if you look at the first page, was the pages of the Quadvest contract and the signature, and then then the Conroe. So the question is that Conroe was allowed to how would you say this, to exit certain clauses in the GRP contract, an agreement between the SJRA and the city of Conroe, right? You guys came to agreement. Those exit words, the global agreement, are embedded in the Conroe contract, right?
That's my understanding.
That's what it looks like to me. And then if you look at the Quadvest contract as an example, you see the same words in both contracts, meaning, not take it back. Let me start over. If you look at the requirement to exit, right? The requirement to exit, and it requires 85%, right, to amend the contract. So the question I have is, how did you come to an agreement with the city of Conroe to exit the GRP contract, right? Because it doesn't seem that you have a right to exit the GRP contract with them alone. You have to exit through this process of having 85% of the people vote. So I'm a little puzzled how you modified the contract in that fashion with the city of Conroe, even though the contract says you have to have 85%. So I guess the reason I asked this, because the discussion at the trustee board, is that we were told that it's too late. Conroe always cut a deal and they have exited the GRP contract. But it seems to me by this wordage, you're not allowed to do that.
You keep using the word exited from the GRP
Well,
contract.
they modified. Let's use the word modified. You modified the GRP contract, right? You
Well,
modified.
there is a proposal to all the participants to modify.
But I could swear that the last, in the last trustee meeting, it was said that Conroe already had the agreement. Whether it failed or not, Conroe got the changes. Is that a true statement? If it is, how did they accomplish that based upon this exit clause?
The only thing that I know of that actually occurred right now is they no longer have an 80-year contract. Everything else is still, my understanding, is still proposed in the global amendment.
I think we need to look at that in more detail, because that's not what was said at the trustee meeting. It said that Conroe's, and many of my director friends realize this too, that basically Conroe is out. No, not out. They got their modification. And they think that, and it turns out that you have to have 85% votes. And so
if you go back to what you've been asked to do is comment on the global amendment. If the global amendment does not pass with 85% approval, then SJRA and Conroe will execute a separate supplemental agreement.
And what does that supplemental agreement contain? Does it contain the verbiage in the global contract? It looks like it does.
I have to pull it because I don't have it.
I mean, I've been reading contracts this afternoon, and it looks like that it's identical. It's embedded in the Conroe contract. The global agreement is embedded in that contract. So I don't see how they're allowed to exit if the vote fails.
Well, you keep using the word
Well,
exit.
I use the word exit, but what I'm saying is
Yes.
exit the agreement, they modify the agreement. I don't see how they modify the agreement without an 85%. That if it fails, they get to go on their way and get the same result. That's what was told to us. And I find it, if I read the contract, I don't see the legality of that. And I think we need to understand it. See, the problem we have here, that, they basically what the contract does, it says, we're never going to build another water plant, which I don't know if we disagree with that. But there is a contract called pumpage fee. And see, the way you start to look at the way this project is structured, this project is heavily subsidized by the pumpage fee. Meaning if you had to buy this yourself, it'd be bankrupt tomorrow. it's like 4-1, $4 subsidy for every dollar. And so what's happening here is people are allowed now to exit the pumpage fee. That means, that, some city can say, well, some clauses, you can't provide me water, I can leave and I can stop paying what's $2.99. Well, I'm just saying that
That may be your interpretation, but
well, by the interpretation, but you also told me that, that they were already modified. So that was a mistake.
no.
We can look at the tape. I'm sure it's on there. You know what I mean? And I want to know, and we should be concerned about that, because if that subsidy, think about all the energy these other parties have put together to sue the SOJ, they're going to be all focused on getting the hell out of the pumpage fee. And they'll find a way. And that concerns me. That
There are a lot of concerns about the whole concept of the global agreement and the contract as it's presented
Yeah.
here. I talked briefly to Ed outside, and he told me this is for comments, and my comments are extensive. And I quote the same thing as you, the 85% for modification. I have some basic questions as it relates to.
Yeah, let me say one thing. My concern about give the comments, is that before we know it, they'll be off doing something. And the comments won't, I don't see a mechanism for our comments to be adopted or coordinated, And since I think now that Conroe doesn't have the deal, they don't have the deal, the right to have the deal. I could be wrong. We have attorneys to figure that out. But, why do we want any of it? But, the part that really bothers me is the pumpage fee.
You should,
Yeah.
because then they get paid for doing nothing,
Oh, well, I'm just,
in effect.
well, that's what subsidizes the GOP would be is financially be a mess without the pumpage fee.
Of course.
And so what amazes me is this, I don't know what Conroe sued over. I've asked those guys and they don't remember, And because, leadership has changed so many times. But, I'm concerned that we don't really get a say. They say, send my comments up. I'm inclined to vote. That we should vote on it, either accept it or not accept it. And the other meeting was, we were left the impression that Conroe had the deal. They don't have the deal for when I read this. So I'd like to know if they have the deal legally. And I'd like to, obviously have more discussion over this because I'm concerned about it. And so.
Can I ask a question of our attorney? What legal firm reviewed these or prepared these documents?
Prepared,
The contract that's in this folder?
I assume it's their litigation counsel.
That would be Conroe's or RCR?
Well, between the two, I would assume. I wasn't involved.
Which law firm?
Yetter Coleman. And so they.
Conroe had the one they've had forever.
Have you reviewed this contract?
Briefly,
What's your opinion of it?
I mean, we can, it's a big closed session.
I'm sorry?
So we can visit in closed session if you'd like to discuss.
Okay, and I think we should do that.
Could we pause on this conversation until we get to closed session because it's 5:20?
Good idea.
Okay, so I've said what, and Eric, here's your packet. I thought I made 4, but I made 3.
Thank you.
And, okay, let's continue down here. Receive an update regarding Bear Branch, Panther Branch Research Forest.
Yep, that's in review with the Corps of Engineers still.
Okay.
Next item is passment number 4. Mud 46 did not have any work done this month in that particular contract, so nothing to look at there.
Fine. Yep.
First report, only thing I have is election. So the candidate filing period began last week. Candidate filing period runs through February the 13th. The packets are available either in paper form here at Woodlands Water. Shelley can provide those to any candidates that would like them. Or we've also had those materials posted on each district's website. So they're available for folks to download if they'd like to receive them that way. Our directors for MUD 46, David, Tom, Fred, y'all are the incumbents that are up for election. Once the candidate filing period concludes and we determine which districts have contested elections, then we'll work with Montgomery County as we have for the last several election cycles to coordinate the election. So happy to answer questions on the process if you have them. Otherwise, we do need action on item 22 to adopt the order calling the director election.
Okay, so do I have a motion to do the supplement agenda for the English and Spanish regarding the director's election? Anybody? You have a first, second?
Motion.
I
You need a
apologize.
second. Okay, so all those in favor?
I move that we approve the order to issue the election.
Correct.
Okay,
To call the election. Thank you.
second,
I second.
second. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next one is receive GM report.
Okay, just a couple quick things. I want to let you know, AWD conference is this weekend in Houston. Starts Friday night, goes through Saturday, and then we'll be getting back before the freeze. So that's happening. Did want to point out something from the trustee report that I wanted to pull out just to go over. Is trustees gave me guidance in how to vote on a question at the GRP committee meeting that was yesterday. And the two options were to vote on a 13-cent rate reduction, GRP rate, or to reduce it by 11 cents, putting $500,000 into the R&R fund for future O&M, mainly of which is the replacement of the filters at the plant. So with that guidance, I made motion at yesterday's meeting, and it was approved 4-0 unanimous on that topic with the GRP committee. So, and then before we go to comms, I know we pulled out 13.
Yeah, protein.
You want to do that now, Tom, or do John, or whatever?
Well, before we get to that, the question on page 106 of your report. MUD 46 shows a number of new and redevelopment activities. Is this several months old or is it brand new?
No, it's ongoing. So you'd asked that question. I'm glad you wrote it up. We have our first, what do you call it, implementation of the SFUE.
Okay.
And we received one so far. You will see those in your financials once the trigger point for us to put it in is once the meter gets set, then that initiates us putting in the financials. So we already have one
Good.
implementation. It was a single family connection. So the reason why the numbers are bigger than that is we put them on the list when we're first initiated but there's a process that could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months with plan reviews and all that. So we don't accept that final document until further in the process, but we're putting them on here just to let you know that we're in the process of reviewing those numbers, but we have one completed one so far.
So someone's built a new house.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much. Now we can go to your question.
Oh, I didn't have a question.
Oh.
No, I just wanted to update. I thought Eric would do it, but,
I'm happy to. I just wanted to.
okay, go ahead.
So the kind of saw the question in play last month, and so a few things have changed. One thing is the development in question has actually fenced off their emergency overflow swale, which was the main access point to the facility. They did similar to what you saw on Pirouette, earlier last year. We don't have any say in that. So, I mean, you heard my opinion on how we feel about it in our district, in our MUD, but they did it. And so that was one thing. Today we finished putting up all the no motorized vehicle trespassing signs. So those were strategically placed at potential entrance points along.
I've seen them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are in place now. And then there's also signs that were put up, I think, by residents that says, please do not mow this area on that east side of the pond. And I know that, I think there's some additional plantings that are going on. So, that was the main update.
So we have nothing really to vote on. It's just information.
We did draft a letter to the residents. And it's still under review and edit because it involves the Woodlands Township, the Woodlands Water, and
We're working on it.
Just anecdotally, I was there like a week and a half ago. It seems like they're not mowing it, at least the areas that I saw.
So who was mowing it was the homeowners, not us.
Right, right. I'm just saying anecdotally.
Oh, I don't know how.
It didn't look
Yeah.
manipulated. It
I
didn't
think
look
it's
manipulated.
taking care of itself, but we'll continue. And those signs, as we mentioned before, is that gives us the ability to, prosecute or the police to get involved if there's motorized vehicles or damage, or anything like that. So you're covered at this point.
Okay, are we finished?
Yeah.
Okay, so next,
Point of clarification, for Maureen, not for you. Under the section bonds on page 115, it said no bond payments were made this month. I don't have December of last year's money package, so I couldn't look and refer to it. Is that unusual or not?
No, the bonds are paid twice a year.
Got it.
Nothing
Okay.
in December. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Communication?
Yep, 120, you got your report, page 120. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. I really just wanted to zero on one aspect of it, which is your annual update. So you've done this last couple years. I gave you last year's update for reference. The plan would be, if you want to go forward with it again this year, to get me your comments here within the next couple weeks. I can consolidate those and return them or have them ready for review at February's meeting. You can spend a little time fine tuning it, and then we go to print. If you approve it, then we'll go to print with the February bill around March 1. So I will send you, if you want to go forward with it, yes?
I make one
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
On this,
Yes.
where Wendy has left the board. We have Joseph here. Let me introduce you to Joseph here.
This is last year's.
Oh,
Yeah, just for reference.
this was the
Just for reference,
No.
yep. So what, and then these live year round on your webpage as well, but I will email these to you. So you have it electronically, I'll put it in your lap, and then again, give you a deadline to get those back to me. It's also nice for you to have one director specifically to work with to kind of help me hone that a little bit. Make sure that I've got a nice reviewable report for
I'll help
the
you.
next meeting.
Anybody give comments, please send them to me. You'll have my email.
Well, I don't think you can get everybody's comment.
Oh, okay, so how do we do that?
Get them.
I'll give them to you?
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
I'll
I understand what you
consolidate, then
mean.
we'll have
I
a
understand what you
discussion
mean
about it.
now. I understand what you mean.
okay,
I'll-
I'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
Watch out for a lot of freeze communications in the next couple of days, well, starting tomorrow. So,
Right.
I put my mulch down today.
good man.
So I like the idea of doing it again. Quick question, two questions. Have you considered including in these reports engagements, numbers of views?
I do that periodically.
Okay.
I think I brought social media metrics forward in November. So I haven't made that a monthly thing, but I try to bring it forward at least quarterly, give you a sense of website visitation, reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
click
it's a key
throughs
metric
and all that.
now,
Yeah,
whether
it's
the
key metrics.
communications are effective and are they landing. So it'd be the first piece of
Absolutely.
feedback or request that we can have that data surfaced in this forum. Number two is, have you guys considered using additional tools for driving that engagement? Some of the, not static images, but synthesized videos and whatnot that are.
Yeah, there's lots of AI tools out
Yeah.
there. I've definitely played with them. We have our social media specialist, Stephanie Williams.
Mhm.
She started in June as part-time. She's now full-time as of yesterday.
Mhm.
One of a number of things she'll be working on are more reels or video content. Getting more and more visual with how we're engaging the public. If you have other ideas, I mean, we're all ears,
All right.
please.
So we can reach out directly to you.
Absolutely. I love it.
Great. Thanks.
you've been doing a great job. I've been commenting from time to time when I see your work actually being distributed. All I can say is it's a tough job, and trying to educate our constituents when you consider that our board was elected by less than 3% of the residents. We don't have a overwhelming tsunami of interest until they get a high water bill or have a problem.
Sure.
So anything that you can think of that can increase engagement, and I agree 100% with Joseph on that. Whatever we can do to help, let us know, because you're doing a great job.
Spread the word. We love ideas. I think we've made some good headway
Yeah.
the last couple of years with the strategic plan, but we have a long ways to go. Thank you.
Okay, so, authorize staff perform 2026 water loss audit.
That's an annual audit that we're required to put together and submit. It's due by March 1. And so we just need authorization to proceed with getting it going. And we'll bring that back to you.
Okay, have a motion to authorize proceed.
Second.
Second first. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Receive Woodlands trustee report. We kind of talked about the big topic, which we're gonna talk about again. And I think everything else that was in the trustee meeting is kind of covered supplementary to this.
As a European was one, my vote, and then the global, those were the big, I got it.
Okay, so we're gonna recess now into closed session. Oh. We're closed.